Welcome to day 9 of getting to know yourself. I just have to correct something I said yesterday, which is that we're going to deal with thoughts later. But when I thought about it and read more that I want to speak about today, I realized thoughts and emotions are connected. So we can't really deal with one without the other. So we're going to deal with both at the same time. So when I said yesterday, we come to these quiet space, sit for a minute in quiet to get to calm. It's not, you don't get to calm emotion without calming the mind. They're linked. So I don't know if that was clear yesterday. So let's talk more about this calming, quiet time. We know that if we have no peace of mind, we cannot do anything properly because we're always in a reactive state. And if we're always in a reactive, uncalm state, we're not really living a life of consciousness, with consciousness, but we're living a life that's completely disconnected from who we really are, from others. You can't love another if you don't even know who yourself is, and you're not living from that self anyway. And you're not loving yourself if you're running around like a chicken without a head and not at all present and aware of what you're doing and feeling and thinking. So, right? And no reason to feel bad here because we're all human beings. So we're all in this together, and we've all mistakenly identified ourselves as a thoughts that we've had, as feelings that we've had, as actions that we've done. But here we are on these 40 days, growing together, getting clarity together, and with God's help, getting this space of awareness, consciousness, of knowing those aren't the things who I am. I am this pure soul that streams through my actions, thoughts, and feelings. So a person who has tried to just sit quietly, and you can ask anyone who's meditated that you know, and people get afraid of the word meditate, but the thing is just sitting quietly and even observing your thoughts, observing your emotions for 1 minute, you discover an entirely new sense of self. How does this occur? On page 65, he talks about this, Rav Schwartz. He says, because the I, as we explained, has two aspects. One turned outward toward other people, and the other turned inward. If only the part that turns outward is used, right, running around like a chicken without the head example, then only half of the self is recognized. And in a deeper sense, less than half, the personal self, the inner, is completely lacking. There is a unique part of the self, a state that exists on its own. Most people are unaware of it only because they lack the knowledge of its existence. The goal must be to discover this I, and this is achieved by sitting quietly alone without any specific content for one's thoughts at that time, just to have quiet and to be calm. Listening to relaxing music may be helpful, not modern music with its loud beat, but something peaceful. There are tunes that can calm a person so that he can live in a world with inner quiet. Inner quiet is a great treasure that exists inside each person, yet there is a deeper treasure, the revelation of the presence of the Creator within. But this can only occur if we can already experience inner quiet. Hashem does not come with a commotion or with a strong wind, but with the subtle, quiet voice. Kol D'mama Daka. To discover the I, we must reach the state of Kol D'mama Daka, the state of alone, quiet, and focus. We're not talking about the world to come. We're just talking about what we need to live in this world, to be relaxed, calm, and thoughtful, to get to that space of consciousness. If we look, the Torah was given in a time of quiet. The state of alone is where our holy forefathers lived. Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Moshe Rabbeinu, and David HaMelech lived there as well. The son of the Rambam, Rabbi Avraham, writes about the world of the solitude of the soul. He explains that our forefathers were shepherds in the wilderness because they sought a world of quiet. The calls of the cows were preferable to the words of most people. We, the people of Israel, must continue with the heritage received from our forefathers. We do not create new methods, but we follow in their footsteps. Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov sought quiet. Likewise, Moshe Rabbeinu asked his father-in-law Yisro for the opportunity to be a shepherd so he could have quiet. In that way, he attained the revelation at the burning bush. Later on, he came to Mount Sinai in solitude, and there he received the Torah. When asked, how did Moshe reach this high level that he could approach God and receive the Torah? Because he chose solitude, quiet, and calm. This is not a new method that originated in India. It comes from our holy Torah. It is the way of our forefathers, written by Chazal and explained by our teachers, the Rishonim. This is not solitude for its own sake, but for the sake of disengaging from the evil in the world and connecting to the living God. As the body needs bread and water, the soul has no less of a need for solitude. We are unaware of this essential need. It is a sign, if we are unaware of this need, it is a sign that our souls are so deeply buried inside of us that we are no longer aware of what we need. And it could be that we do know we have this need, but we're afraid. We're afraid. It's scary because we don't know how to recognize that space, and we're used to this busyness and all the activity, and that takes us away from that fear of what if I don't recognize that self. And but I guess at some point it's sort of like jumping off a cliff. If you listen to the other classes, Devorah Yafa Singer is speaking about belief in God, and we just have to jump off that cliff with our belief, knowing that if I take this time for quiet, even though it's really scary, I know that Hashem is there at the other end, waiting to send me so much good, which is the greatest good, is having a deep connection to Him and feeling it. So I guess it's just a jump off a cliff. So that is what we're going to get up to today. And the reason I put this picture is just to show that feeling. This is the feeling you'll feel when you take that time to just sit quietly for a moment or two or 10, whatever. But the minute the thoughts start to quiet and the emotions get quiet, deep inner peace and truth start to come through you, because that's who you are. You're linked to that because you're linked to the infinite, because you are a soul, and the soul is a spiritual connected to Hashem, and that's how he brings us through into this world and gives us life through this world through our soul. So that's picture is the idea of what you're going to feel when you just sit quietly for a moment, even though it's really scary to try to do that. See what happens. And see if you start feeling more expansive, because with consciousness of who you really are and living from that space comes expansiveness and joy. Thanks so much. Looking forward to tomorrow.